Hello and welcome to another episode of the Coding Break with Tam Talk. Here is where we have lighthearted conversations as it relates to the medical coding and healthcare revenue cycle industry. So on today's Coding Break, I want to talk about test anxiety, or shall I say test and performance anxiety, when it comes to sitting for your coding certification exam, as well as completing assessments for medical coding jobs. So I did say it was going to be lighthearted, but this is actually just a little bit heavy, just a little bit. So I'm going to share some of my personal experience. I have suffered from test anxiety, not so much the coding certification exam, but more so the medical coding assessments, pre-employment assessment exam. And I would say I never had it. I didn't have it before, but it seems as of lately I have had it as it relates to that. And the reason why, I would say because the assessments that I took way back when were very, I don't want to say simple or basic. The ones today are actually giving you the coding examination again. So for someone who actually sat for 5 hours for a coding certification exam and they passed, to me, I personally feel like they should not have to sit through another coding exam, right? When they're applying for a job. Because let's be honest, yes, the coding assessment should be included in when you're applying for a job, because as an employer, you want to assess whether or not that particular applicant is knowledgeable of the work that they're getting ready to pursue or attempting to pursue. On the other hand, I feel like it creates a distrust of some sort between the employer and the potential applicant, as if they don't trust that the employee or the applicant will be able to do a great job with coding. So it's twofold. So should there be an assessment? Yes. Should it be as lengthy or as extensive as it is? To me personally, I don't think so. Because if the individual passed the coding certification exam, they are credentialed. Now, I do know that there are some rare cases where, there are some scamish ways going on in the industry, as they are with all industries. And I do believe there are different ways that we can rectify that issue. But again, I think it has caused a lot of distrust with those medical coding assessments, those extensive medical coding examinations, period. All right. So I feel like that creates anxiety. And so one of the things that I want to share with you is, whenever you're taking any type of examination, whether that be in medical coding, whether that be just in any industry or just in college, you're going to have anxiety. That everyone has suffered from some sort of anxiety or anxiousness, because you're being tested on information that you just learned, right? It's not like you came out of the womb knowing how to code. It's not like you came out of the womb knowing how to read, right? So, of course, there's going to be some sort of anxiousness because you don't know what to expect. You don't know what to anticipate. You know, because your instructor perhaps told you what to expect, but because you haven't actually taken the exam, you don't know. You also are worrying about the person who's grading the exam, right? What are they going to think? Are they going to be as apt as you when it comes to the answer or the responses? And I say that with the medical assessments when you're applying for a job, because if I'm not mistaken, the actual coding exam, certification exam is graded by the computer. But let's talk about when another coder grades your assessment, right? You're worried about whether their coding knowledge is the same as yours. In a sense, are they going to see it the way that you see it? Now, don't get me wrong. And I say this, when you're in the coding industry, you can put 5 coders in the room with the same scenario, and you're probably going to get 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different responses, right? Or approaches to a particular coding scenario, because each of us are coming from we learn differently, we look at things differently, and we were taught differently, right? And don't also keep in mind that we each are coming, have different certifications. One may have an inpatient certification. One may have a professional certification, and so on and so on. So we're approaching things the scenario differently, and that can create anxiety because at this point you don't know what your potential employer or how they're looking at or how they're grading your assessment. Okay, so that creates a bit of anxiety or worry. And then I think too, I don't know if they have changed this process, but when you take an assessment, you don't get any feedback, right? You don't get any feedback. You don't get any feedback in the sense of, where did I go wrong? Right? It's almost like to teach, because at this point you want to grow, you want to learn. So especially if you're a new coder, you're new to coding, you want to learn. And so feedback is important. If they give you feedback, then you can actually assess your errors, or whether it be in a particular specialty or not, then you're able to correct or rectify that issue for your next coding role, right? So these are things that create anxiety. But my message to you is to understand that you're not alone in feeling the way that you feel. That doesn't mean that you're dumb. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be a coder. That doesn't mean that, it doesn't mean that you lack knowledge in coding. It just simply means that there are other external factors out there that could be hindering your success. Again, especially if you're looking for a job, it's going to be based on that employer, that manager, that leader, and it's going to be based on how the computer grades it, right? So yes, but I want, again, if you don't take anything away from this coding break, is to know that you are not by yourself. It's perfectly normal to feel that way. You're not alone. You're not dumb. And keep in mind, if you're applying for a job, you're competing with other individuals, and some of them may have more experience than you, and that doesn't mean that that they're better than you. It's just that they may have been in the industry a little longer than you, and they may bring in some nuances that they pick up, or processes that they picked up from working in other areas, that may not be applicable to the specific job task that you're applying for, right? And then also, you don't know what your employer is looking for. Those with experience assume that they're going to pick them because they do have experience, but that's not always the case. That employer or that leader may want someone fresh and new, right? With a new mindset, with an ambitious mindset to complete the role. They're not coming in with any what's the word I'm looking for? They're not coming in with other ways of thinking, in a sense of things they may have picked up, or what word I'm looking for. They're not coming in with any other ways of thinking in order to complete the task. So don't give up, or don't feel like you don't bring anything to the table when it comes to coding roles because you are a new coder. Leverage the fact that you are new, that you are a clean slate, that you can be taught, that you are moldable. Whereas a seasoned coder, they are set in their ways, and so the employer may not want them. You know what I'm saying? Because they are set in their ways. So don't lose hope. So as far as, again, the testing anxiety, again, it goes back to preparation. If you've studied, if you've taken a course and you've taken the practice exams, if you have all your things set up, things that, like, you pack your bags correctly, or pack your bags and your materials that you're required to take in to a testing site, then you want to make sure you're prepared. You know where you're going, all of those things, so that when you arrive to sit for the test, you are prepared, right? You're not rushing. You didn't have any hiccups that threw you off mentally, but you arrived and you're prepared. Whether you arrive early, I've had individuals arrive like an hour, 2 hours early, so they can look over their items, like their study information. I've had some that arrive like 15 minutes before, So it really depends on you as an individual, how you show up. But most importantly, don't, be prepared, and then understand that this is something new to you. So you shouldn't know everything, right? You know what you were taught. You know what you studied. So yeah, those are a couple of ways to kind of get over that anxiety or fear when it comes to taking medical coding certification exams, as well as the assessments. Again, the assessments have changed from when I first started taking them to now. Again, they're mimicking the coding certification exams. And to me, again, I just feel like that is to the extreme, because it creates a thing of distrust amongst the applicant as from the employer or the manager or leader. So yeah, so that's all I have for our coding break today. Yes, it's a little bit on a heavy hearted side of conversation, but it needed to be had. So yeah, so if you have any other questions, feel free to shoot me an email. If you have any other topic conversations you would like for me to discuss, feel free to shoot me an email and we'll have a discussion about it. So until next time, remember to code on. And hey, until next time, you all have a great day. Bye.